Sam, Whole Foods, are they just brainwashing
whole paycheck,
people?
as people like to
Good old
call it.
whole paycheck.
Is this because are they brainwashing people to buy more food?
Just like any successful retailer, absolutely.
How are they doing this?
They are, the second you walk into that store, you are getting hit with a bunch of different cues.
It's dreamy.
It's dreamy. You're seeing beautiful fruit and vegetables that have been arranged by color. You're seeing beautiful lighting. You're hearing fun music that you remember from when you were younger. It's a whole set of things that, as one person I spoke to said, gives you a Disneyland for the senses.
But are people paying up for that? Everybody loves the whole food experience, and they love to go, and they love to buy the fish because the fish department's beautiful, and the pickles and the fruit. But are they filling their shopping carts and buying all their gear? Because guess what? When I need to buy Eggo waffles and little hot dogs for my kids, they don't have them at Whole Foods. I got to go to Food Emporium.
That's right. I mean, the selection at Whole Foods is going to be a bit different than a large multi-brand supermarket. That being said, Whole Foods has been trying to move into other categories, particularly with their store brand, 365, and that has been very successful.
John, what's your take on Whole Foods?
Well, they've done a terrific job since the last recession offering better value to the customer. And they've really done that through 365 primarily. So, you know, the whole
What's 365 for
That's
those that don't shop
Sure.
at Whole
So that's
Foods?
their, you know, if you go to Kroger, you get the Kroger brand. If you go to Whole Foods, you get the 365 brand. So it's their store brand. You'll pay a lot less than if you bought national brand organic product.
But Whole Foods, for the most part, is filled with all these super swank boutique brands. Should they just cut those out completely and go 365? 365? That was a joke.
No,
Take you to the
Just
grocery
came to
aisle.
me.
Yeah.
No, because I think at the end of the day, you know, Whole Foods is drawing in a lot of different customers. So you do have the gourmet customer that may want, you know, a higher quality product, pay a little more, and you will pay a little more in the fresh areas. But at the same time, you know, if you think about it, we do need to eat healthier. You know, that's important, you know, particularly given the diabetes, the diabetes epidemic that's out there. And so I think 365 very important to the brand, but you don't want to change what they're doing in the fresh side of the store.
But, John, I mean, can't you buy bananas and oranges at Kroger's and Safeway? I mean, really, what's the difference? I mean, produce is produce, vegetables are vegetables.
They just look more beautiful at Whole Foods.
And there's nothing to say that, you know, maybe organic produce, some people will be willing to spend more money on it. But when you take a look at the stock performance, how the companies have done, right? Whole Foods, the stock is up almost 35% year to date. Compare that to Safeway and Kroger. I mean, they're getting blown away.
Well, that's more of an issue of what's happened with Safeway and Kroger than what's happened to Whole Foods.
So should they be copying Whole Foods?
No.
Why? Because it's a different customer?
Well, because you can't do, you know, Safeway's got 1,600 stores. You can't do what Whole Foods has done across your entire chain. Safeway and Kroger, unfortunately, when you think about a spectrum here, right? You've got Whole Foods on one side of the spectrum, you've got Walmart on the other side of the spectrum. Safeway and Kroger are in the middle. And at the end of the day, you know, you have to do a little bit of Whole Foods, you have to do a little bit of Walmart if you're going to succeed in the middle. The middle is a tough place to be.
Sam, does it cost Whole Foods a lot more, though, to bring out the beauty, to deliver that style when you walk in and all of the produce is color coordinated? How much more does it cost Whole Foods to do that rather than Safeway, who's just loading up their bananas, peaches, and strawberries any old way?
It definitely costs Whole Foods more. In the article that I was doing for Businessweek, we talked about how the sort of farm stand aesthetic that you see when you walk in there, the crates of vegetables and fruits.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful, the hand-painted signs. Whole Foods has 2 full-time artists in each store who are responsible for making all of those signs.
Isn't that hurting their bottom line?
Apparently not.
Isn't this something that the other companies can copy a little bit of, John? I mean, these are things that they can do.
Sure.
We know that, for example, Safeway has their own generic brand that they've been doing very well with, and they just did a big revamp of their grocery stores.
Well, that's true. I mean, if you look at Safeway, they have remodeled most of their stores into the lifestyle format. And that does have a very big organic produce section with some of the same feel of a Whole Foods. And that has served them well. I think that's one of the reasons they've gained share in some of their markets, most notably California. But you can't do that if you're a traditional food retailer. You can't go that far. You know, you still have to pay attention to price. You still have to pay attention to Walmart as a competitor. So it's a big juggling act if you're somebody in the middle.
All right, well, Thanksgiving's tomorrow. Is there a single supermarket that's most prepared for the holiday season?
Well, I don't know that there's a single one. But again, I think at the end of the day, as we get into the holiday season, we see a lot more perishables being sold. right? This is a season where you're going to see less so produce, but more center of the plate, meat, seafood, deli, a lot of catering. Whole Foods is well prepared for that. I think somebody like Kroger is well prepared for that too.
Who's not?
Well, there are a number of companies out there that continue to struggle. SuperValue is one that has struggled. I wouldn't say they're not prepared for the holiday, but they have struggled in getting their brand message out. They're working on it, working on pricing, but they've struggled more than any other public.
What about pharmacies offering fresh produce and lunch and those kinds of things? Because you've seen that a lot.
Sure.
That's
Wayne
a big
Reed,
introduction,
right here in New
exactly,
York.
yes.
Well, you'll do that for grab and go, right? So if you have a lunch trade, somebody can pop into Duane Reade and get a sandwich, get a salad, that will happen. Are you going to see drug retailers get into the food retail business completely? No, they don't have the space, and it's not their customer.